Like crazy, everybody's trying to stimulate it. Spiders in the mirror and feel this can't be right. Back to the scene of a Friday night, to a blessed collision still frozen tight. Spear drinkers, Cupid and the sound of her first chime. And why did you argue? Dreaming of those eyes.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another reading vlog. Kazi and I just got back from a walk. Kazi, come here. And it's freaking cold. Fall is officially here. Come say to people. Come here. Come here. Come on. Thank you. Say, on a big walk, and now I'm a tired boy. Come here, Nick. Come here. Say hi, friends. Oh, sorry. Faked you out. You already had your treats, remember? Say you're so tired because you went so big long walk, huh? It's cold outside. It's very much feels wintry today. Like, we even had frost on the ground this morning. Anyway, there's the weather report you didn't ask for. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Or welcome if you're new. I don't know how many of you are new when you come in and start watching my vlogs. But anyway, so recently, my hammer battery's gonna die. Be right back. Okay, hi, I'm back. I got a new battery, so we should be good. Okay, actually, now, welcome back to another vlog. So recently, and by recently I mean, I think I started to recognize it was happening in August. Also, look at my cute nails. Do you want to see? I went and got my nails done. Maybe you could see better this way. And they're sparkly, and one has spider webs, and one has a spider. And I love them. I think they're so cute. I haven't had my nails done like this in what feels like a million years, probably at least 10 years. I used to get my nails done all the time. And then I started sculpting, and I was like, what's the point? Because my hands are always in clay, and I couldn't have long nails. Anyway, my husband treated me to a day of a manicure and a pedicure, and so I have my nails done, and it's so fun. Anyway, so... Hi, how are you? Let's get to the book. So, as you may know, I've definitely been in a bit of a reading slump for the last little while. And I felt like I was out of it for a good bit in September, right? Yeah, September. And then literally, okay, today's October 13th. I have not had a single 5-star read this month so far. And the month is almost half over. I've had a lot of what I feel are very mediocre books as far as how they make me feel, you know, like I haven't had any books this month that have really hit me and been like, wow, oh, I love this book so much, you know, and I hate that. Like, so but I also haven't had any books that have been like terrible enough for me to DNF. So the books I've been reading like have all been 3 and 4 stars, and the ones that I gave 4 stars, while parts of them were enjoyable, I gave them 4 stars mostly because it was either like, I was impressed with how it was written or something like that, where I could see that it was objectively good, but it wasn't hitting me. Also, I just kind of got tired of giving everything 3 stars. So, reading slump has been hitting me hard, honestly. So, the other day on my Instagram, I posted in my stories that I needed some recommendations, please. Please, people, hit me with some recommendations for some books that would probably be a 5-star read for me. And I know, like, I'm putting a ton of pressure on them, right? But they were good sports about it. So I got a ton of responses, and I went through them to try and find the ones that I felt would appeal to me most, but that were also available as an audiobook. So for this reading vlog, today is Wednesday also, by the way, started this reading vlog late. For this reading vlog, we're going to try and do 3 of the books that people recommended me or suggested that I read that they think will be 5 stars, and we'll see how many I get read. I'm not sure. how many we're going to get read. I may only get 2 read. It just kind of depends on how my focus is, you know? So one book that I really wanted to read that was actually on my radar anyway is The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood. This was recommended to me by Amy's Books and Things. Amy watches my videos pretty often, and she watches my Instagram, and we're book friends on like Twitter, so I'm really grateful for her friendship and her comments always. And I loved that she recommended this book to me because I have really been wanting to read this. Like, my curiosity has been super piqued, but also I've been a little nervous. I've been a little scared because this book is so extremely hyped. Like, it's hyped, I feel like, on all book platforms. I've specifically heard it hyped on Bookstagram. Like, I don't know of anyone who has read this who hasn't loved it. So the hype is real, and typically when a book is very hyped, I don't like it. I just don't like it, and I hate that. I mean, sometimes I do. Sometimes the hype is real, but recently, books that I've read that have been overhyped, or that I feel have been overhyped, have just, like, been no for me, you know? So, let me tell you what I know about this book. So, I know that this is very much in, like, the science community, in a university type of community. I know it has women in STEM. I believe it has some diversity in here. I also know that I believe this started as Rowe fanfic, and I gotta be honest, that's the thing that really interested me the most. And, yeah. And that's pretty much all that I knew, to be quite honest. I knew it was women in STEM, science-y, Rowe fanfic, and the cover, which the guy looks like Adam Driver on the cover, which I really, really like. So I actually ordered this book, which it should be here any day, for my book of the month. I picked this as an add-on book, so I should be getting my physical copy soon, but I am listening to the audiobook. I went ahead and used a credit on Audible for it because I really wanted to read it, and I couldn't find the audio anywhere else. So we're listening to that. I am currently on chapter 5. I just started it today, and my overall first impressions is I am very much enjoying this. Like, this is just such a fun book. I feel like this book is really giving me all the subtlety that I want in a romance. This also has a fake dating relationship, which I didn't even know that was the basic plot. So the basic plot is Olive, who is a PhD student, and she's working on, like, her thesis. I don't know really anything about PhD studies, so I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong. And she ends up just sort of running into Adam, who is our hero, who is actually a professor at the university. She literally runs into him, asks him if she can kiss him to give the impression to her friend that they are a couple, that they are dating. And the funny thing is, like, it's so funny. Their first meeting, that first kiss was so fun. It was so funny. It was just, like, awkward, but also, like, a little sexy, and it was just very, very good. I really, really loved that. This character, Adam, gives such strong Adam Driver vibes, like, completely how he is described. Like, that's immediately who I'm picturing, and he's really described as being this tall, powerful, strong, fit man, and I'm just, like, dying over it. Like, it's so good. I really, really am loving that. Oops, bumped the table. I'm loving that so much, but I'm also really, really enjoying Olive. Like, she's a little bit quirky. She's a little bit, I don't want to say socially awkward, but she admits that she doesn't date. She doesn't really want to date. She struggles with having feelings of sexual attraction. She thought she was asexual at one time, so it sounds like what she's describing, she's probably, and I'm wondering if it will be confirmed on page or what, it sounds like she's demisexual, which means that she only has feelings of sexual desire when she feels an emotional connection with somebody. So I'm really interested to see their relationship progress. At this point, they have both agreed to their fake dating relationship. Adam agreed to it because it would benefit him in his career with some funding that he needs for his research, and it's just such a good setup, and it's just so fun. Like, I really am impressed with the writing. The writing feels a little bit rom-com-y, but also a little bit, like, it does go into the sciencey terms a little bit, and so I'm sort of like, if I was reading this physically, it would probably be easier for me to look words up and things like that. Things that I'm not familiar with because I am not a scientist. I studied political science and that was it. But yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. They have great chemistry. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think, to see and watch their relationship develop, and I'm just enjoying it. I'm having a great reading experience. Thank you so much, Amy, for putting this book in the question box. I was really happy to see it in there, and I'll update you all when I have some more thoughts on this, probably once I'm finished, but so far, I'm loving it. So far, it's living up to the hype. It is definitely a slow build, slow burn, but I personally really enjoy that, and I love, 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 love watching the characters have some time to get to know each other instead of just right off the bat. You know, that's my preference. Anyway, I'm gonna go work, and I'll check in with y'all when I've made some more progress. Hi, hello. I finished a book, and it is one of my new favorite books of the year, and I got my physical copy. My book of the month box came, and it is The Love Hypothesis. So thank you, Amy, for putting this in the Instagram box, because this is literally one of my new favorite books. Like, there's a lot of hype surrounding this book, and for me, it was completely justified. This book was wonderful. It was so good. Like, it was so romantic, but it was also very, very sexy. And, like, there's not a ton of steam in this, but the steam that you get is top tier. But the thing I loved the absolute most was just the sense of complete longing that they both had for each other. I loved that so, so much. But I loved also, like, because it is a fake relationship, like, there are these moments where he touches her hand and she's questioning, like, did it linger a little bit? Like, oh, like all of those little tiny gestures that you can tell, like, he's interested in her. And she's like, is he interested in me? And oh, it just gave me all of the feelings. Like, this was a complete joy to read. I adored every single page of this. So this is definitely a little bit of a slow build, in that obviously they're not banging like on page one. It's a fake relationship. There is a beautiful opening scene for how they meet, and then it sort of skips ahead a little bit. And it's just so freaking good. Honestly, I feel like this book was perfect for me. I just loved, loved, loved. I mean, I loved their romance. I love the heroine. I think she's very spunky. She's also a little vulnerable. She's incredibly smart. I love that we have a smart woman in STEM. Like, I really, really love that. But this hero, Adam, is one of my favorite heroes I have ever read about. He is definitely grumpy, but that, like, is my favorite thing when they're so grumpy, but they have these flashes of tenderness for the heroine where you just know they're starting to open up, and he's starting to show her how he really feels. He's also extremely protective of her, and I just loved it. Like, if you love Rowe, which I'm sure you've heard because that was all I had heard about this book, and you love Adam Driver, like, you have to read this book, because, like, I am an Adam Driver fan. I love Rowe, like, love it. Anyway, and this book has made me crush on Adam Driver so much more. Like, he is just so perfect. He is just a perfect grumpy hero who is tender and soft for the heroine, who is protective, who makes her feel like a queen. Like, oh, it was just so good. I loved it so much. So this book has been moved into my top 5 books of the year, and it's getting kind of, like, I think I for sure have, oh, this is so hard. I for sure have 2 books in there that aren't moving. And then I for sure have 2 more, and this is one of them. So, I don't know, y'all. Like, I don't know if I can narrow down a top 5, but this is a 6-star read for me. This beat my reading slump. This was just pure joy to read. Like, the audiobook was very good. This was just a complete delight from first to last page. I adored it. I adored everything about it. Loved it so freaking much. And honestly, like, if you even are a little bit interested in this, I would highly recommend it, because it was completely worth it to me. This was fantastic. I adored it. It was so good. Oh, I just want to hug it. I want to hug it, and I want to read it again right now. And I'm not a big rereader, but this, oh, was so good. And I know I'm hyping it up. I'm gushing. But I can't not, okay? I don't even really have anything critical to say about this other than I just enjoyed the heck out of it. This was such a fun read. This was so enjoyable. And I don't know if it's maybe because I kept trying to think of like, why did this hit me so perfectly? And I think in a lot of ways, this is a little unique in the setting. Like, I love the university atmosphere. I loved the science discussions. I love that he's a professor and she's a PhD student. Like, I loved all of that. I think a lot of it really has to do with the fact that I know that this was written as Reylo fanfic and Adam Driver vibes. Like, that's a huge, huge appeal to this, and, like, I love it. There are a few little, like, Easter eggs for Reylo fans in here, too, that's super, super fun. But I think the thing that I really, really, like, there's so much good things to say about this book, but something that I truly and deeply adored with this is that this hero is very grumpy. And he definitely has a reputation for being, like, hard and rude and for flunking kids and just, like being unfriendly, but also, like, really not being accepting and sort of being, like, she uses a phrase of how she calls him, and I can't remember what it is, but it's just, like, completely true. Like, how he's not necessarily antagonistic, but he will not... like, he doesn't, like, sugarcoat things, you know? Here we have this hero who is very blunt and will absolutely fail students, you know, if they're not performing up to what he thinks they should be. And then we have that contrasted with the moments when he's alone with Olive, or in the moments when he is tender towards her, or when he is, like, complimentary of her, and when he is just so... completely just out of his head gone for her, and he expresses that, and it just hits so hard because you know those are not just words for him. You know that he feels deeply for her, and I just love that so much. Oh, it was so good. I loved it. It was perfect. So I'm very happy that I have this copy, and I'm just so excited I have it in my hands. I'm glad I bought the audiobook on Audible because that's a book that I would re-listen to, and so I'm very happy that I have it. So I adored that book. That was fantastic. I just loved it. So now that I have gushed for 6 minutes, let me tell you what I picked up next. So the next audiobook that I picked up is one by Lauren Rowe. The book I picked up is Falling Out of Hate with You by Lauren Rowe. This is a book that was just released in April of 2021. And this book, not this specific book, but this author was recommended to me. Morgan from Nothing Better Than a Book, she also has a YouTube channel. I'll have her linked down below. She commented in my question box on Instagram, and she said that Lauren Rowe's audiobooks are amazing. And so I'd been wanting to read Lauren Rowe. I haven't read her yet, and I had bought this one because it was on sale, and I also had Smitten. And I have heard, like, I follow Lauren Rowe on TikTok, and she's said pretty frequently that Smitten is kind of not her typical books that she writes, so I kind of wanted to not necessarily start with that and then hope for more, because I have a feeling I'm going to really love Smitten. So I decided to go with Falling Out of Hate with You. And I did not know this is a rock star romance, and I didn't know that it was, and I'm already on chapter 6. It's a very fast read. I'm very much already invested in the book. This has a man narrator and a woman narrator, which I always really enjoy. And basically it's the story of this very famous rock band. The hero is the frontman for that band, and then our heroine is, like, the lead singer of the band that opens for them, and they have this intense physical attraction towards one another, but they are also enemies and they kind of hate each other. So the blurb says that she is just wants to, like, do him, you know, and she's like, but I think I'm gonna try and bring him to his knees too. So I'm really interested to see how this is gonna play out. Typically, I'm not the hugest fan of rockstar romances. Like, I don't hate them, but it's not a subgenre that I'm like, you know, I really feel like reading a rockstar romance. Like, that doesn't happen for me. So I'm liking it. It's definitely a fast read. I'm not bored at all. I'm enjoying it. So that's good. And, yeah, we'll just hope that I continue liking it. So another book that I'm reading, which is not part of the Instagram, recommendations, but I wanted to mention it because I am obsessed with this book. I'm completely obsessed with it. I'm 50% of the way through. This is an arc that I just got last night, and I didn't know I was getting this arc. And I was very surprised and very happy to get it. And as soon as it showed up on my Kindle, I immediately started reading it, and it is There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. So this book is very different for Sophie Lark. It is incredibly dark, but it is riveting as all get out. Like, I am very much enjoying this. Like, I literally cannot stop thinking about it, and all I want to do is finish the workday so that I can get back to reading this book. So the basic premise of this is that we have these two men who are artists in San Francisco. They are very accomplished. They are very famous. Their art sells for hundreds of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars. Like, these are like top tier artists that are like the elite in society, you know? And the interesting thing is, however, that they are both serial killers. They are both murderers. And that is basically the plot that surrounds these two. There's a young woman who is the love interest who catches the attention of both of these men. And her fate gets very intertwined with the two of them, and she's also an artist. So I really don't want to give too much away of what the plot is about, but I just had to mention it because I've been waiting for this book to come out. I've been very excited about it. I'm a huge fan of Sophie Lark. I really, really liked her Brutal Birthright series. I've read the whole series. I enjoyed almost every single book in there, and I just really was very impressed, especially with the last book in that series, with how she ended that series and got ready for the Kingmakers to spin off from that. So I've been very much anticipating this because I do love myself a good psychopath romance and a serial killer romance, and I feel like they can be difficult, very difficult to pull off. I have read the Onley James series, which I dearly love, which I think does that very, very well. And there are a few others that I've read that weren't quite as successful for me, but this one, I'm obsessed with it. Like, I cannot stop reading it. It is just so fascinating to me. This is definitely gritty and very dark, but wow, I am so impressed with this. And like I said, I'm 50% of the way through, so I'm not going to give you a whole lot of details, but I wanted to mention it because I was talking about I was in a book slump. Nothing was really grabbing me. This showed up on my Kindle and I immediately started reading it, and I just don't want to stop reading it. So that's a wonderful thing. That's such a great feeling. So those are the books that I'm reading. I'm going to end this clip now. I've rambled for quite a while, but I just had to profess my undying love for The Love Hypothesis. I love this book so very much. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And then, yeah, I just had to gush about the Sophie Lark, and also tell you that I am very optimistic about the Rowe. So we'll see how many. I think I will probably only include those two books in this vlog, only because it's Friday night, and I doubt that I will get a chance to listen to one more full audiobook. We'll see. I could be wrong. So anyway, I will for sure update you on the Rowe book and the Sophie Lark book when I finish it. Thanks for watching, my friends. I'll see y'all when I have more news for you.
Oh, fear not the cold. For riddles shall unfold.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back. We're in my bedroom again. Sorry, let me clean my glasses for a minute. Cosmo smudged them. This is what I look like without glasses. I feel very, very weird and very naked. But anyway, I am in my bedroom because it's Sunday. This is the final clip in this vlog, and I wanted somewhere private where we could talk about these books because my whole family is home. So I finished 2 books, and that's all I'm going to include in this reading vlog. It's kind of a shorter one. Hopefully you still enjoyed it. I don't know what happened this week. I just didn't do a great job at filming. Actually, I do know what happened. It was launch week for my Tumble Creature sculpture business, and I was very overwhelmed in trying to get all of my work done for that. So filming kind of took a backseat. This next week I'm going to have, I promise to have more videos than just a vlog come out. But anyway, let's talk about the books that I read. So we're going to talk about the Sophie Lark book first because I have to talk about it because I am dying. This is going to be a spoiler-free, really quick review of this book. This book comes out October 20th. This is a dark romance. It is called There Are No Saints. There Are No Saints. I keep getting the title like, is it No Saints? I'm bad at titles and names. But anyway, this book comes out October 20th. This is a dark serial killer romance. And this is perfect for this time of year. It is such a wonderfully, it is just very dark, very gritty. This has serial killers in it. So let me tell you basically what this is about. We have 2 very powerful, very complex men in this. One is Alastair Shaw, and the other one is Cole Blackwood. And these men are artists in the elite art scene in San Francisco. They're very powerful. Their work sells for a lot of money. They have a ton of connections. They're basically at that level of untouchable where no one considers that they're doing anything wrong, or nothing would ever knock them off of that peg. Basically, they have that much power. But they are both essentially psychopaths, and they are murderers, and they both sort of end up very enraptured by this young woman who is also an artist, but she is not powerful at all. She is extremely poor, and she's very, very much struggling to survive while still being an artist, and her name is Mara. She catches their attention of both of them, and they get involved in this very, very complex, dangerous plot where there are a lot of secrets that are being kept. There are a lot of, there's very high stakes, her life is at stake a lot of times, their careers, her career, it's very, very, very high stakes. This book is extremely high stakes. The plot of this book is very clever. I feel like this is a very intelligent book, and that doesn't surprise me because Sophie Lark is really, I feel like she does this trope really well, where she writes about intelligent women and powerful men, that's sort of her tagline, and she does that in a way with some very typical mafia tropes. And I've read her Brutal Birthright series, I haven't read all of her works, and she takes what is a very common trope in that genre and she twists it just a little bit so that her men are still very powerful and very alpha, but her women have an equal amount of power. They're very smart. They're very intelligent. And I just really, really love that about her work. I love how her women are never just pushovers. They're never pawns, they have a big role in that. And that is exactly what Mara has in here. Mara is one of my favorite heroines that Sophie has ever written. She's extremely strong-willed. And she's also very much willing to put everything on the line for what she wants, because I feel like she's gone through a lot of trauma in her life. There are definite trigger warnings in here for parental abuse. Obviously, there's a trigger warning for murder. This is a very dark book. It is very gory, and it might be unsettling for a lot of people to read. But to be quite honest, I don't always, I can tolerate a certain level of gore and violence in my books. You know what I mean? And the Karen Slaughter book that I talked about a while ago, that was way too much for me. But this level was just, it didn't seem, the thing that I really liked about it is that it didn't seem gratuitous. It didn't seem like the violence and the gore was in there just for shock value. Every single bit of gore or violence in here that you saw was a thread in the bigger story of this book. And it was just very, very masterfully done. I am incredibly impressed with this book. This is a big departure from Sophie's other books before, in that it's equal parts thriller as well as romance, dark romance. And the romance is very interesting because the hero is a psychopath. He has a lot of complex feelings that he's like trying to work through, and something that he has like a lot of different masks that he, not like literal masks, but like figuratively, like he knows what to turn on so that people respond to him in a right way, you know, as is typical for psychopaths to do. He is excellent at putting on a show to portray this impression that he is kind, warm, just like this wonderful man. But she can sort of see through all that, and it's just their interaction is incredibly intriguing to me. It's so interesting because the whole time she realizes that she is in danger with him, like literal danger, not like an Edward and Bella type of thing, you know what I mean? Like there is this hero isn't really quite a hero. He is absolutely villainous. He is so obsessed with her, and he can't figure out if he wants to kill her or if he wants to keep her. And that is so completely compelling to me. It was something that I could not look away from. Like, I started this book, like I said, like this was a surprise arc. I didn't know I was getting it. I started it and I was obsessed with it until I could finish it. Like, when I had to take a break to work, it was like painful because all I wanted to do was just sit and binge it. Like it was one of those books that completely gripped me and never let me go. And that doesn't happen very often for me. So I thought this book was incredibly well done. It was so compelling. It was like a complete page turner. I was obsessed with it. And I was really obsessed with the whole idea of it, of these artist, powerful men who are also murderers and getting away with it. And also with the idea of this complete psychopath hero is so obsessed with this woman, and he can't figure out if he wants to kill her or keep her. And I just love that so much. Like, if you are interested in anything like that, like a serial killer, psychopath type of romance, oh man, you're gonna love this because it takes what we know about that. I've never read anything like this before. And like amplifies it on like another level. Like everything is just, and there are just so many phrases in here that Sophie wrote that are such evocative descriptions of how it would feel to be in that moment, but not in a way that makes you feel like, well, in a way it makes you feel uncomfortable, it makes you feel scared, it makes you feel anxious, but never like too much, you know? Like I'm obsessed with this book. This is the first book in a duet, so the second one comes out in December, and I would say that the end of this duet, it's not like there's not a complete ending to the story. It does have a lot of things left hanging, like plot-wise and relationship-wise, but I do think that you definitely feel satisfied at the end of this book, where you're not, like, dying because of the cliffhanger, you know what I mean? Like, I would say there is, like, an unresolved plot, but I wouldn't say that it's a cliffhanger level where you are just left desperately grasping for that other book, you know? But, at the same time, it leaves you so intrigued that the minute that second book drops, like, you're gonna want to read it. It just was, honestly, blew my mind. I can't stop thinking about it. I finished reading it yesterday afternoon, and honestly, all I wanted to do was just go back in and read it again. It's so freaking good. If you like a really, really very dark romance with thriller elements in it, as in, like, murder, a little bit of, like, it has a true crime-esque type of feel, I would highly recommend this because it's so, so good. It's just, wow. I just can't stop talking about it. It was so incredible. I loved it. I'm extremely impressed that Sophie Lark wrote this and how much her writing has grown. Like, it's just incredible. It's so good. So, now that I've gushed about that book, let's talk about one that I'm not as excited about. So I finished Falling Out of Hate with You by Rowe. And this book I gave 3 stars to. And I feel like at times I felt like that was a pretty generous 3-star rating because I had a few big problems with this book. And the main problem, and it's interesting because both of the books that I'm talking about right now were duets. This book feels very much like it's a complete book cut in half, and you only have the first half of it. Nothing really happens plot, like, and this is the type of book that doesn't really need a big plot moving it forward, but there's nothing really moving the relationship forward until, like, the very end when you finish the book. Like, that's the moment where you're like, well, now I kind of want to find out what happens, but it felt very much like not a complete book at all. Like, this is the type of duet that is very frustrating to read, because for so much of this book, nothing was really happening. Nothing was really pushing the relationship forward. It was just a lot of talking about how they didn't like each other, but they were still really attracted to each other, and it just felt very repetitive. And then when they finally do get together, like, I was like, okay, this is great, things are happening. But then nothing ever really happens after that. And that was just a pretty frustrating reading experience for me. I will say, however, that I really liked the writing, and Morgan, who recommended Laura and Rowe, she didn't recommend this book specifically. She recommended Laura and Rowe because her audiobooks are really good, and I would say this was a very good audiobook. Like, I really liked the narrators, I really liked how it was paced. It was just a really enjoyable audiobook experience, even if the story wasn't completely satisfying, you know what I mean? And something that was really great that I really liked about this, that was probably what actually ended up making this a 3-star instead of a 2-star read for me, is that there's a song included in this book, because this is a rock star romance, in the audiobook that you get to hear with the hero singing, writing about the heroine. So it was a really good song. I really liked it. I love that that was included. That was a fun little extra. But am I going to read the next one? I mean, maybe, probably at some point I will. I'm not in any hurry to, because I'm kind of annoyed that I spent 8 hours listening to this audiobook for, like, this much story. And then it just kind of, this just feels like such an incomplete part of a duet. And I don't love that, you know? Like, whereas if you compare this to the Sophie Lark one that I read, that is a complete story arc that still leaves a thread that needs to be resolved in the second one, and I love and adore that very, very much. So this book, Falling Out of Hate with You, like, honestly, it has everything in it that I typically don't like. And if I had been maybe more aware, if I had looked into the book a little more closer, I probably would not have bought the audiobook when it was on sale a few months ago, and I probably wouldn't have picked it up right now, because it is a rock star romance where he's basically a rake, where he's just sleeping around with groupies all the time, and I don't love reading that. It makes it really hard for me to love a hero like that. I don't know why, whereas if it's in a historical setting and he's a rake, I'm just sort of like, okay, yeah, I'm on board. I wasn't so much on board here. But also, like, they are set up to be, like, enemies or frenemies, but there's really no reason for them to be. It's never explained. It's basically just, like, they were scuzzing each other off, giving each other kind of nasty looks, and it just kind of, that was it, you know? And the basis of the relationship is purely lust-driven, 1000% lust-driven. It is basically a hate sex book. It's all about their physical attraction, how they hate each other, but they also are really attracted to each other. And that is, honestly, it's going to be extremely rare for me to love a book like that, because I just don't enjoy that experience. It's not fulfilling to me at all. I don't like it. I don't like reading about that type of relationship, because one, it just bores the heck out of me, because it feels like it's lacking so much complexity in an adult relationship that I'm looking for. And maybe that's just showing my age, because I'm just like, I don't want to read about people just sleeping around. Like, it just bores me to death, you know? But it also just really doesn't provide any type of great conflict in that relationship that goes below the surface level, because this is a book that is extremely surface level, really lacking nuance and subtlety. It's all just driven by the attraction they have for each other and this sort of miscommunication of how they don't like each other, you know? So this audiobook was a really good audiobook. I liked the narrators. I felt like the writing was solid, but it had some things that, for me personally, I just don't like. And then the whole duet aspect of it was just a bit disappointing. So I did give it 3 stars because I thought the writing was good. I really liked the song, and I thought the audiobook was good, but I'm probably not ever going to recommend this book because it was pretty disappointing for me. So that was a lot of talking. All right, well, this week I found 2 excellent books, 2 of my first 5-star reads of the year that actually will definitely, I think these 2 are going to be on my top 10 books of the year, or top 20. I'm not sure I'm going to do that because I've read so many great books, but for sure, The Love Hypothesis is a new favorite. I adored that book so much. And then There Are No Saints. This book blew my mind. I freaking loved it. I can't stop thinking about it, and this is definitely going on my list of favorite books of the year. And then the Laura and Rowe book was pretty disappointing, not gonna lie. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this vlog. Thank you so much for coming along, and helping me find books that got me out of a reading slump. And I would also love to do this with my YouTube viewers. So if you have a book that you think I would really love that you think would get me out of a reading slump, will you leave that down below in the comments if you have time, or if you want to do that? I would love to know what that is. And if you want to leave me an emoji and show me that you were here without leaving a comment, please go ahead and leave me a bat emoji. I would love that. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. I'll see y'all in my next video.